Welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show, and happy to be with you live here on Facebook. Proud member of the Education Podcast Network, Voicehead Radio Canada, wherever you are taking in your podcasts. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of the show. And jump in the show. One of the things I like about doing the podcast live is that people can jump in, people can leave comments, introduce themselves, and meet our guest tonight coming to us from Superior, Arizona. It's the superintendent. He's the principal. He wears several hats there, and he spent his lifetime there. Really beautiful to hear, Steve. Steve Estatico, or Estatico, as I like to say, my paisan from Pittsburgh area, but a Pennsylvania native. Steve moved out to Superior, Arizona, got a job and spent his life there, made his life, met his wife, and is now the superintendent of schools. Steve, I think this might become a movie. I'm feeling the good vibes here. So you'll meet Steve in a moment and jump in the show. It's the end of the year here in Northeast, coming down the stretch, finals, grades, stats, data. And what did they learn? Well, a great way to tell that over the course of the year is with IXL. And I thank them for sponsoring the podcast. I'd like to thank IXL for sponsoring today's podcast. Over 1 million teachers use IXL in their classroom every day. IXL is the most widely used online learning and teaching platform K through 12. It empowers schools with complete curriculum, thousands of instructional resources, robust reporting, assessment data, and more. It saves teachers a lot of valuable time with ready-made plans aligned to the standards and the textbooks. Built-in engagement tools like custom competitions make learning fun for students. And IXL's diagnostic is research proven to be a strong predictor of performance on standardized assessments. And the best part? Everything I just mentioned is all integrated into one platform, so you can simplify your EdTech tools. Visit IXL.com to lead your students towards data-driven excellence today. The link is in the show notes. And again, appreciate IXL sponsoring today's podcast. All right, let's get started with the show. We're going to meet Steve in a minute. Again, if you're watching live, please jump in and say hello and join the show here today. The opening comment or the concept is hope. I went to my daughter's high school graduation at our neighboring school district just about a week or so ago. And today I went to a kindergarten or pre-K moving up ceremony. And, being in the audience and watching and looking around, what are parents doing? They're taking pictures, they're filming, they're waving to their kid. And they're emotional, right? It's a beautiful experience, that graduation, that moving on. And you're talking about 4 and 5-year-olds and 17, 18, 19-year-olds. But the hope is the same by the parents and the families. The hope that they're going to do better at the next level. The hope that they're going to find themselves. The hope that they're prepared to move on. And that's our job, friends, as educators, as educational leaders, as teachers, as instructors, to provide that hope. Hold on, possibilities exist. And it's our job to provide that. Yes, the curriculum, yes, the work, yes, school, all of that. But we really got to provide that hope. And I saw it in the hearts and the minds and the eyes of those little kids today and their parents, but I also saw it in the high schoolers. Our job is to continue to provide hope. And somebody who's doing that in their school community is superintendent and principal and the boss of the district there, coming to us live from Superior, Steve Estatico. Welcome to the podcast, Steve.
Hi, Andrew. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. You're on summer break there. There's nobody in the building, and you're holding the fort down. So I appreciate you, my friend.
It's nice. It's nice and quiet. Just me and the ghost. That's all. So.
Steve shared that the school district is across the street from an old graveyard there. So he's literally looking out the window at tombstones. Is that right?
I am. And I keep hearing noises behind me. So if you hear anything or see anything, shout so I can get the heck out of here real quick.
Steve, is that a kind of a discipline trick with the older kids? Like, hey, man, I'm going to take you across the street. You don't knock it off.
I think it's just so common. It's Superior that it's across the street. People just don't even realize it. It's always been there. We've pretty much been here for a long time. So it's just one and the same. That's Superior though. So
Friends, Steve is the principal out there. He's also the superintendent, and he really has made his lifetime there. So, Steve, how are you? How is the state of the school district, and how are you doing yourself?
good. I mean, it's June, so it's hot. It's reaching 100 degrees out here. So, you stay inside. You try to stay inside. We actually ended school in May. May 21st was our last day. Had our
Wow.
graduation. So we've been running summer school for 2 or 3 weeks now. We have one more week left. We're working on district accreditation. We have our budget coming up, trying to get that done, and making sure we got everybody hired for the next school year. That's our top priorities.
Steve, I know you're an East Coast guy from the Berg area. When they say it's a dry hot, a dry heat, is that, I mean, is 110 like, bearable? Like, what is it, is it that as hot as you hear it is?
It's hot. It's 100 degrees. It's still 100 degrees. It's not humid right now. So there's a little bit of difference. There's a difference when it's 100 and it's not humid, and 100 and it's humid. It's not humid. It'll get humid in about July when the monsoons come. So when that happens, that's a little bit more miserable. I've gone out there and played golf at noon at this time of year. You stay hydrated. You're good to go. You find some shade when you can, and you just keep moving. So it's not bad. It really isn't. It's I've been outside numerous times today and walking back and forth between schools. So it's a piece of cake right now.
But you don't have to cancel school at times due to the heat because everything's air conditioned, correct?
Correct. I've actually had to cancel school one time because it snowed in Superior. So that was fun. And my middle daughter Marley said, she was a senior at the time. She goes, "Wow, Dad, that's probably the best decision you ever made."
Give Marley a shout out for that there. So, Steve, you mentioned about hiring and stuff. As superintendent, you have the final say. What are some things when you're interviewing candidates, and whether it's a teacher aide, a clerical, they're part of your team there. What are some things that stand out for you that you are specifically looking for as the leader of the district?
One, you can always tell whether a person's going to be able to develop relationships with kids, with other adults, with parents. So you kind of ask questions along those lines to see what answers that you get back. I'm also looking at instruction, depending on the type of person, because sometimes you have to hire an individual who's not in the teaching profession, but is going through that alternative teaching process. So what knowledge do they have? What type of instruction knowledge do they have? The pedagogy that we talk about, can they explain to me what a good lesson looks like? That type of thing is what I'm looking for. And the character thing, can you build a relationship? Here I am putting you on the spot. What's been a hard part of your life that you have to go through that got you, and what did you do to get you through? That type of thing, that tells me a lot about a person. So that's really what I'm looking at.
That's a question you ask them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And see how they handle it. Because we all have the hardships. We all have it. Even the most successful people have it. It's how you deal with that really makes you stand out.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, how about you, Steve? You've been there a long time. What was a highlight from last year? Something that really kind of you wanted to ring the bell for your school district? And what was a challenge for you, looking back at last year?
So, I mean, our big thing, we have state labels out here, so we go through that process every year. And for the last couple of years, and, right after COVID, we had a hard time. There was a lot of catch up, and there still is a lot of catch up. But I think for the last couple of years, we've been a B district. And that just goes to show the strength of the staff, the hard work they put in, the plan that you have and that you have to follow. And you just have to push through from all the other outside noise and do your job. And I like to think that we did a great job with that the last couple of years. Obviously, we're struggling now, and it's not just us, but the state of Arizona and nationally, declining enrollment all over. That's been a struggle. Declining enrollment leads to less funding. We're getting hit with less federal funding now, so we're struggling with those issues. But at the same time, we're putting out the same product. We're trying to put out the same product, and we're not making cuts. We're not taking away programs. We're going the exact same route, but we're trying to do it more efficiently. But it's tough every day. It really is. Yeah. Our budget for this next coming year is a lot less than what it was last year, and it's going to be a struggle to move forward. Arizona has same year funding or current year funding, which makes it difficult. So if you lose 10 kids in the middle of the year, Arizona takes that money from you during the school year.
Wow.
So that's a struggle.
Yeah. That's a struggle. Well, and Steve's part of the leadership with the Arizona Rural Schools Association. That's where we connected out there. Certainly doing what he can to advocate for a small community like Superior. You're about an hour or so from Phoenix area. Back to that, doing the best you can for your district. Is it hard to hire in a rural area, Steve? Like housing and convincing people, like, they're an hour away from a big city. Is that a challenge for someone to attract a young teacher to come to Superior?
Extremely. I mean, it's extremely challenging. We've tried to grow our own the last couple of years, and we've done a pretty good job of that. We have 3 on staff right now. We're going through the teaching program that we've hired, actually 4. I've had to hire international teachers the last couple of years to fill roles. Some of the things that we've tried to do is we went from a 5-day work week to a 4-day work week, and you're seeing that happen a lot in rural Arizona now. They're switching to a 4-day work week. Another thing that we've been able to do, we've taken ESSER money that we've had and given our staff retention bonuses and signing bonuses. And then the other thing that we've done, and I'm happy to comment on, we partner with Resolution Copper. Resolution Copper is a mining company right at the base of Superior. They've given me money to give my staff retention stipends and signing bonuses for the next 2 years. So
wow.
That. And then we talked yesterday, they're also giving me money to give to teachers for classroom supplies and that. So they've been a big supporter of us. Very grateful for our partnership that we have. So that's been a big help to us.
Yeah. The schools are the community, and the community are the schools. When they can help each other, I mean, that's exactly a beautiful thing. Their company is going to be better when the schools are better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They understand that, and we understand that. So,
well, because they're looking to hire people just like you are, and when they know the kids can go to school there and get a good education in a safe, clean place where kids want to be, that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well done, Steve. Well done.
Thank
that's
you.
Good.
Credit to my staff.
Yeah. You went out to Superior. Again, you shared about, you got a call on a Thursday and you started there on a Monday, and you chose to stay your career. Your dad said to you, gave you wise advice. Hey, Steve, if you don't like it, you could always come home. And here you are 30 years later, 3 children, and now your first grandchild. Congratulations. But you made a home there. What is it about Superior, Arizona that you fell in love with?
When I first moved out, the funny thing, it was 115 in Phoenix, and I got off the plane and I thought to myself, okay, what are you getting yourself into? And then I came out to Superior and I looked around and I saw the scenery and the beauty that this place has to offer. And I'm like, I could probably get along here.
Yeah.
And, the way we're raised, you're taught to get along with everybody. It's just how it is, And I thought, well, I think I can do that. And just worked through, got to know some people, did my job, got to like it here. end up marrying a Superior girl, which is my own fault. But had 3 beautiful daughters. So a quick fact, I'm the only superintendent to have 3 daughters who are both homecoming queens, all 3 homecoming queens, and all 3 state softball champions. So I'm proud of that fact.
Oh. I hope they're watching. If you're watching, Marissa, Marley, and is it Maida?
Mira,
if you're watching, say hi, girls. We got Pops on the show here. Congratulations. That's a pretty cool stat.
yes. Yeah.
What did your beautiful wife Sonia and her family think of marrying a guy from the Berg, the Pittsburgh? He's a Steelers fan. I mean, how do they deal with that?
Well, the good thing is my wife was a Steelers fan when I moved out here, and
that was part of the arrangement.
All her family are actually Steelers fans. So
it's like an arranged marriage.
It was an easy transition. If she was like a Dallas fan, I don't know if it honestly would have worked out.
It might not have worked out.
But that's what it is. And we can all, Sundays we're sitting around the TV and the girls still come over and I make something to eat and we're watching the Steelers game. So we have our rituals and our, what we need to do to win that game. If they don't wear something Pittsburgh Steeler, I get up mad at them and tell them get out of the house and go back and change.
Price of admission, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Is there a Steeler bar in the region?
Actually, there's one in Cave Creek.
Yeah,
there's a Steeler bar in Cave Creek, which is about an hour away. It's Steeler country. I was in it a couple years ago. I had a friend come out and we went out there and Mel Blount and a couple other Steelers were out there. They had a golf outing out there. So
absolutely.
It's an absolute Steeler bar. But
listen,
sometimes any bar you go into is a Steeler bar. So it depends.
You got some big changes in the organization there. Aaron Rodgers is joining. I mean, are you signing off on that? You approve of that? Did they ask your opinion? I mean, I know the team's owned by the fans,
I think he's saying all the right things and he's doing all the right things. And, they kept everything under wraps. I knew it was going to happen. I was telling people this is going to happen. What comes out of that, who knows? Will it be good? Will it be bad? The Steelers do the same thing every year and it drives people crazy and it drives me crazy. But the bottom line is it's worked for them. They keep things close to their vest. They don't, go out there and, talk about a lot of things. They do things in-house and they're looking for a certain type of player and character. And, Tomlin always says, hard work beats talent anytime. That's the type of person you need. Every year's a new year and we look forward to it and get excited about it. So
all kidding aside, we're talking about leadership here, Steve, and you're the leader in Superior, but Art Rooney and the Steelers leadership, whether you're a Steelers fan or not, and I'm teasing him wearing my Pirates hat, but I admire the Steelers organization and there's been a lot of leadership. So what is a leadership lesson that you have taken from the Steelers organization, from the Rooney family that you say, hey man, that works. I'm gonna use that principle.
I think it's the mentality. You come to work, you show up, you put your work in, you do your job. Just like when you're playing that game, everybody has a job to do, and you need to do your job, and you need not worry about what everybody else is doing. If you all do your job and you all communicate and you put that work in, that planning, that practice, good things are going to come out of it. The outside stuff is exactly that. It's outside stuff. And what I try to tell our staff, look, I'll take care of all the criticism or whatever. Let me handle that. You guys do your job. I'll take care of everything else. I want you to do your job. And that's the message that I kind of get. And it's the hard work mentality, come to work, show up on time, get things done, help each other. It's never going to work if we don't help each other. And that's the key message. So
Absolutely. Beautifully said. And if you've never been to Pittsburgh, I mean, the stadiums, the culture, the people are fantastic. Do you go to the games when the Steelers come out to the Cardinal country?
I did this last one. We did. The girls were going. Yeah, Dad, we got to go. We got to go. I go, okay. So I had a friend come out too, and we all went to the game. And it's funny. The Arizona Cardinal Stadium is mostly filled with Steeler fans at that game. So it's unheard of. And they always travel well. You know, I think it was Bob Costas said something about Steeler fans. They're everywhere, you know, and so that was true out here that game because they were everywhere. So
yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, Steve, I touched on it before. You had a big occasion here. You went from just being a dad to a granddad now. And what's your nickname? What do they call you? Poppy? What do they call you?
Tata.
Tata.
Tata. T-A-T-A.
You're a Tata now. Things change for you, Steve? Is it you becoming a little more nostalgic? I'm turning 50 this year. You know, I'm starting to look at things a little differently. You're a granddad now. You're a Tata. Is it, you looking things differently? You doing anything differently? What changed?
I just think it's just you reflect back on how you got to this point in time, and you're very proud, and you're very grateful. So I think when I reflect on that, I mean, when I walk into the room and I see here, though, I'm just like, okay, what do you want? You know, I'm happy as can be. A bad day, and I see her, there's no bad day anymore. So put it that way. But I think you just reflect. I'm grateful for the family that I had. I just celebrated my 25th anniversary with my wife. So, you know, those things you put in perspective, you know, no matter what happens or, you know, along the way to this point in time, hey, that's not a bad life at all. So that's how I look at it.
Congratulations, Steve, to you and your family. 25 years married, grandchildren. Your daughters are Steelers fans. You did something right.
Hey.
Steve, you know, again, I'm turning 50. I'm looking at my health. You're becoming a granddad. What are some things that you do as a school leader? You're active. I mean, in a rural school, you're the elementary principal, you're the superintendent, you're part of the special education committee. When you need it, you're driving the bus. When you need it, you're cleaning the cafeteria. How do you stay healthy? How do you continue to show up with the energy you need on the job?
Good thing is I'm a morning person, so that helps. I think in Arizona you got to stay hydrated, but they tell you that no matter what. That's one of the main rules of life. You got to stay hydrated, right? You know, you get up, you drink 2 glasses of water. I don't like staying in my office. I like getting up and moving around, and it does a couple things for me. It lets me see classrooms, visit kids, visit staff. I'll go over to the high school, see what's going on over there, see some classrooms. I think you got to just keep moving. I was working out for a while there, and I stopped because it started hurting, and I stopped for a while. I've been always wanting to try a weighted vest walking workout. So I think I'm going to go that route. I'm going to get a weighted vest, and I'm going to start doing that. I've been researching it a little bit, and they said that's just as good as a regular weight workout. I'll find out, but I think you just got to stay active. You know, I don't like to eat past 6 o'clock. I like to keep my meals up front, you know, and if I get past 6 o'clock, I try not to eat. That's what works for me, because I don't want to feel bloated when I go to bed, you know, so I try to cut that out before that. So that's pretty much what I do. You try to eat some good food once in a while and some beans and some fish, which I like both of those, but then the pasta and the bread come into play. So that kind of balances itself out. So that's the hard part. Bread is the sucker. That's the hard part.
Got to watch the breads and the sugars.
Yes.
With a name like Estatico, though, I mean, it's part.
What can I do, right? What can
comes
I do?
With the territory.
Right. What can I do?
Friends, if you're watching live, jump in to say hi to Steve, a great guy. Came right up to me in Arizona when we were there, rural schools, and Steve just so warm, welcoming. I mean, you could tell the type of leader you are. people want to be around you. So thank you for that. Steve, summertime, I expand my reading. I try to do 15 minutes a night during the school year, right? It keeps me active, keeps me connected, but I try to expand that. It's a little lighter, it's almost 8 o'clock here and the sun is still like bright here.
Right.
But all leaders are readers, Steve, and I'm going to grab a book here. So I'm just jumping out of the chair, but I'm going to bring you one of these. When I come out there to Superior, I'm going to bring you this. This is going to be my gift to you. But I just finished this. Great, great book. I'm reading all of Andy's books now. Andy Andrews, I highly recommend them. But all leaders are readers, Steve. What are you currently reading and or listening to now?
Well, if you send me your dad book, I'll definitely read that.
It's coming. It's in the mail today. It'll be there Monday.
Right now I'm just reading for fun. I'm reading a book about Sitting Bull, the life and legend of Sitting Bull. I'm a history buff. Had a couple classes in college, going through the program, being a social studies teacher. So that's pretty much what I'm reading now. I'm trying to stay away. I'm a CNN buff. I'm a government teacher, but sometimes I just got to turn it off because I can't really believe what's going on. So I'm trying not to listen to too much and just, it's summertime, relax and not wrap my head around some of that stuff that's going on. And that's why I picked up the Sitting Bull book. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you definitely got to get away from that stuff. You got to get away from some education stuff and, find that inspiration and that spirit for sure. Yeah,
definitely.
Cool. Well, that book is coming to you, Steve. Julian, I don't want to ruin the surprise, but your father-in-law Julian. Sorry, he got you one coming to you. So, but I'm going to bring this out to you, Steve. Highly recommend Andy Andrews and the book there. Also, too, Steve, I'm a storyteller. I got this one here. I'm going to dive into that too. Using humor with the work that I'm doing. So, I like that.
You do a good job at that. So, I was impressed when we had you up at Flagstaff. So, I appreciate it.
Northern Arizona. We had a good time.
Yes, excellent.
Great people. We had Superintendent Ramos on from Miami Schools, not Miami, Florida. He was fantastic as well. Steve, what else? What are some things you do? Again, it's summertime for you. You're not as busy as during the school year. You still got to take care of things. But what are some other things that you do to kind of sharpen your saw and get ready for the next year? In addition to the reading.
I think one of the things that you have to do in our profession is be around people that are involved, be around people that are your colleagues. We're still working, we're still meeting. We have a group called the Copper Corridor, and Superior's at the head of the Copper Corridor. It includes four or 5 small towns. We meet with a group of people. We're going to meet on the 23rd, and we're there to help each other out. It's with businesses and education field. We're coming together to try to solve some problems and issues that are going on. We're a mining area. One of the problems that is going on is they're having a hard time finding people to hire. How can we help? How can they help us? Like that partnership that we have. So, having those connections, developing those relationships. The ASA just had their conference. Arizona School Administrators Association just had their conference down in Tucson this week. Being around those types of people, listening to them, what the issues are, helping each other out, and getting involved. That's what keeps you going, and that's what I don't know everything out there. I'm still learning after 10 years as superintendent. I need some help too, so I have to go out there and ask those people that I know that have been in this profession for a long time. So that's what I do.
Yeah. Awesome. Making those connections, bringing opportunities to your district. Steve, when you say that the Copper Corridor, for those not in the area, those watching around the country, literally that's where you're getting copper from. You're mining copper?
Absolutely. So Superior itself is a long history. It's a mining town. Back in the 1880 days, they were mining silver and other minerals. Then they started mining copper. Right outside Superior, right above us, actually, to the east, they found the highest grade copper ore largest body of copper ore, highest grade in the country. So they want to mine it, and they're trying to mine it. So we think that's going to go through at some point in time. They have what they call smelters that process the copper. There's only 2, I think, in North America, or 3 in North America, and 2 of them are in Arizona. So in our region, in our copper corridor, that's why they call it the copper corridor. So we're mining communities, small mining communities, Globe, Miami, Ray, Hayden, San Manuel, Superior. We're all small mining communities. That's what makes up the copper corridor. So
love it. I love it. Awesome, man. Very cool. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Looking forward to learning more about that. Very intriguing. And as Steve described, a beautiful area. Steve, anything else you wanted to share, before we go to rapid fire?
I'm a lifelong public educator. I've been a public educator for over 30 years. And from what I've seen, public education is under attack. We have a voucher system in Arizona. We have a lack of federal funding. We have a lack of state funding. Arizona's 49th out of 50th in the nation. And across the nation, they're talking about a national voucher program. And you look at what's happening with public universities. If they don't submit to, we don't do the DEI. Actually, they made us sign DEI statements in Arizona, believe it or not, saying that we don't practice DEI.
Wow.
Or they were going to hold our funding, which is crazy in itself. But we really need, when 80 to 85% of the students in the country go to public school, we need to put more resources to them, not against them. And, I think it's going to be a fight. It's been a fight, but I think we're at a point where something's got to give, and we need to do everything possible to make sure we tell our people that represent us that, hey, you need to support public education.
And you say 49th out of 50, you mean in student and pupil per pupil spending?
Correct. Yes.
And
Correct.
for those that don't understand, Steve, about the voucher system, a kid in a public school community who is zoned to go to that public school can now take a voucher and go to a private school, and that money comes away from the public school, regardless of what the parent's income is, and now can go to a private school that can be paid for by the state. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, yes. The state of Arizona pays $872 million out of public taxpayer money for these private school vouchers.
Wow. And their budget hasn't. Steve's getting ready to open school next month, and he doesn't even have his budget yet. There, that's
correct. We're waiting on the state legislature to tell us how much money we're going to get this year. So,
but you got bills to pay. You got teacher salaries to pay, staff salaries.
Right. It's kind of hard to put a budget together and a staff together when you don't know what your budget's going to be. So,
well, I hope we get this podcast to somebody at the state to, see a town in rural Arizona, the work you're doing, the community you're supporting. That place needs to thrive. That place needs support. It's a community, and you're the leader there. You've made a lifetime, and I agree 100%, Steve, what you're saying.
Once a Panther, always a Panther. That's our motto out here.
Yeah. Well, thank you for fighting that fight, Steve, and thanks for the work you're doing, not only publicly like this on podcasts, the advocacy work, your work with the Rural Schools Association, but also the conversations with community members and politicians. Steve and I were talking off air. He's very knowledgeable about what's happening, and he certainly knows the needs of his district. So thank you for that, Steve.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, Andrew.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, you're not off the hook yet, Steve. I got, this is the bottom of the ninth. I got, I'm calling the reliever, and you've been beating me all game. I got a chance to get you now. We got rapid fire, okay?
All right, let's go.
This is like the Steelers going for it, fourth down.
I hear you.
They're playing the Browns here. You need to score.
Yeah, we better beat the Browns, or it's not going to be a good week.
Here we go, Steve. These are rapid fire questions. I'm going to throw a few in there that are not in there, okay? You ready?
All right, go ahead.
Last movie you saw?
Nana's on Netflix with Vince Vaughn. It was his best movie since Dodgeball.
Yo, do you know where that was portrayed?
And by your
Staten
hometown.
Island. Staten Island.
was
I gotta watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
I-
My mother's going
I
crazy.
was watching for that movie and it came out and I had to watch it and it was great. I loved it.
Dude, the guy he grew up on my block at
That's
the place
hysterical.
near the Staten Island Ferry. Yeah, 100%. Awesome. Good. You recommend it?
Yes, absolutely. Vince Vaughn was excellent. Again, best movie he did since Dodgeball. So
They could have cast you in that.
they could have. They could have.
Last concert you went to.
Foo Fighters.
Nice. Last song you sang out loud in the car.
I love to sing in the car. Not everybody loves me to hear me sing in the car, but probably Jump by Van Halen.
This guy's got good energy, Steve. Favorite dish?
I'd have to say anything I cook. But if I had to go something that I like to cook for everybody, angel hair pasta, ragu sauce, some homemade meatballs, and some good bread. Can't go wrong with that.
You are slaying it here, my friend. Favorite vacation activity?
Well, unfortunately, I haven't had a vacation in a while, but I've been wanting to go to Vegas anyway. So if I got married in Vegas at the Little White Wedding Chapel, so if I had to say vacation, I'd go to Vegas to eat and drink. So that would be the gamble and drink.
So for you being in that hot weather, you don't want a different climate? You go to Vegas.
I would go to Vegas, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Vegas is Vegas. I mean, what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. So Vegas has some neat places. It really is a fun place.
If
So,
Mrs. Estatico got to choose, is she going to Vegas too?
I think she would. Yeah, I think she would. She's not a beach person, so I think she would want to go someplace fun and go to someplace like Vegas so she could have some fun.
Geographically, are you driving to Vegas or are you flying?
You could do both, but I think I would drive. It's not a bad drive. It's like 5 to 7 hours, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
They have a place called Laughlin, which is about 4.5 hours, which is like a little Vegas on the river. So one of those two, I think, would be good.
You're doing 90 and nobody's blinking at you.
I'm not going to do 90, but I'll go as fast as I can. Put it that way.
He's not going to say he's doing 90 on the podcast. Hey, we'll delete that part out. I put my cruise control on 100 out there.
Yes, you could easily.
Yeah. In 2025, I have fill in the blank.
Probably try to relax a little bit, take it down a notch.
Got that grandbaby, man. Got to take care of yourself.
Have some more fun, probably.
In 2025, I have stopped fill in the blank.
Probably trying to relax, but I'm still having a little bit of fun. So it just doesn't work. You could try all you want, but at the end of the day, when you're in charge and you got to make sure things are going, you got to be around and available. Put it that way. But doesn't mean I can't have some fun. So
100%. And that relaxing and the stress reduction is important. A friend of mine just had a heart attack. Shout out to him and his family. We got to take care of ourselves here. All right, some serious questions here. Favorite Steeler of all time?
Wow. I'm gonna have to go with Jack Lambert.
That's the guy with the no teeth.
Yeah, he's hanging in my office.
His actual body or his jersey or what?
His whole body and they did a thing of him for the Hall of Fame when he went into Hall of Fame, and I made my daughters actually watch this. He said his Hall of Fame speech was, "If I had my life to do over again, I'd be a professional football player, and you damn well better believe I'd be a Pittsburgh Steeler." And I can remember that stuff, but
favorite Steeler coach. I know there was only a few.
I think you got to go with the Emperor Chuck Noll. I think there's no doubt about that. Yeah, I think you got to go with the Emperor Chuck Noll.
I mean, I love that Mike Tomlin. He hasn't won as much as I know as you wanted, but the guy before him was on TV. Was great too.
Bill Cowher, yeah. I
Yeah.
actually I student taught at the high school that Bill Cowher went to.
Yeah.
Carlington High School right outside Pittsburgh. I student taught there, and they have pictures of him all over the place. So
Cower won 2. Noel
Cowher
won.
won. Cowher won 1. He'd been in 2. He won 1.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, I didn't think the Steelers lost Super Bowls.
they did. Unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Did Franco Harris indeed catch the immaculate reception?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Instant replay confirmed.
He caught it. You know, the funny story about that is the chief, Art Rooney Sr., thought they lost the game. So he got in the elevator and went down to meet the team. And when he got out, they told him, "Hey, you guys just won." And he didn't believe it. So that's a true story. In the Pittsburgh airport, they still have a statue of Franco Harris catching the ball for the immaculate reception. I have a picture in my office of my daughter's around it going like this. So it's kind of funny.
Friends, those watching the show, for those that have been with us the whole show, do you see how the Steelers fans mold their children into this? You've said 5 or 6 times, I had my daughter.
It's just how we're raised. It's like, you know, and I had a state champ wrestler when I came out here, and he got invited to Pittsburgh to wrestle in the National Wrestling Championship. And I told him the only way you're going to go is if you win the state championship. Well, he wins the state championship, so I have to take him to Pittsburgh.
Nice.
So he's wearing a Detroit Lions jersey, and he's going into my house. We're staying at my parents' house. And I told him, I said, "Dude, what are you doing? You don't wear that stuff around here." And so we walk into my parents' house, and my mother doesn't say, "Hi, son. Haven't seen you in a year," or whatever. She looks right past me and says, "You know, we don't wear that stuff around here." And I told him, "I told you, man. Like, I'm not making this stuff up." So I'm like, "Hi, Mom." Like, "Mom, hey, me, your son, you know, favorite. Come on." So
it'll be in the vows, certainly, when they get married. I love it. I love it. Steve, you shared a lot of passions. What's a pet peeve of yours? What's something that gets under your skin?
People that promote themselves just to make themselves look good, and they lie about when they do it. That's just drives me up a wall. It's like, you know, I don't have a problem going out there and advertising yourself, or, you know, but when you start making up stuff about yourself to make yourself look good, it's just like, come on, man. That's just a no. That doesn't happen. That shouldn't happen.
Goes in line with the Steeler mentality about character.
No, I mean, that's, you know, my dad always used to tell us, you know, when you're good, somebody else will tell you you're good. You don't have to do it yourself. So I tried to always live by that, and I kind of get, you know, chastised for it because I'm out there not promoting myself, but I kind of figure it's not about me. It's the bigger picture. So I always remember that.
Beautiful. At 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, Steve Estatico is fill in the blank.
Drinking coffee, reading my Pittsburgh sports page.
Is that you get an email or you get paper? What is that?
I have it online, so I just go online and I read it. So
Pittsburgh sports page.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. Something about Steve Estatico that people do not know about.
Well, some people know about it, but I'm like a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti enthusiast. Like, I'll go through the hallway and my secretaries are like, "Okay, here he goes again," and doing my whoop calls. My dream would be to go on a Bigfoot expedition. So if Bobo or Cliff or Moneymaker, those guys on the show, hearing this, Dr. Maria, hook me up, I'll go on a Bigfoot expedition. But I love watching that stuff. You know, when we go out for a hike or whatever, I start doing calls, and like, you're like, "Oh, there he goes again," you know, and you never know, but it's just fun to watch. It just, I don't know what it does. It just gets my mind off of stuff. And I don't know whether it's like half crazy or just like, it's just fun to watch. But, you know, I love watching it, and I love like hearing about it. So yeah, that's it.
Steve, this is show number 330. 329 people have not shared that about themselves. So you're paving the way, man. We got to get you on the show.
Wow, nice.
Steve,
I told my wife and my youngest daughter the other day, I go, I just wanted, my lifelong dream would be to go on an Bigfoot expedition. And they're just looking at me like, whatever.
I love it. You should. You should. Life is short. Let's do it. Steve, this was great. It's heartwarming to hear your story, getting to Superior, the work you've done there. Starting as a teacher and you're the superintendent now and carrying the banner for the school and the community. So I salute you, and I'm happy for you and your family, your grandchild there, Ariella
Sophia Rodriguez.
God bless you, your family. Enjoy what's left of the summer for you. Steve, I love quotes. Give us a quote to bring us home.
I was watching TV the other day, and Steve Martin, and if people don't know who Steve Martin is, we do, but Steve Martin, a famous actor, comedian, they asked him about, what advice do you give young actors that come up to, and he's looking at them. They always want to ask me about who's my manager, whatever, but I always tell them, be so good that they can't ignore you. And I thought, you know what? That's a great quote for life. You want to go through life, be so good that they can't ignore you. And I always have a theme for my staff, and I'm letting this out of the bag early. Every year I give them something, this is, our theme for the year, whatever. And once I heard that, I said, you know what? That's the winner. Be so good that they can't ignore you. And, that's true in so many senses. You could use that for graduation, everything in life. Be so good that they can't ignore you. And you're going to get far. So.
I love it. I love it. That ended a great show. Friends, check him out. Go to Superior Schools website, Steve Estatico, the superintendent, the elementary principal, the substitute bus driver, the substitute clerical, and all the work he's doing there. Steve, I'm looking forward to coming out later this summer, and thanks for your leadership, my friend.
Thank you, and I look forward to you coming out. So we'll have a great time. All right, Andrew?
Cool. Stay on the line a second. We're going to sign off, friends. Continue to survive and thrive. Continue to take care of yourselves. And Steve dropped a lot of great knowledge in here today. Leave him a positive comment in the chat, friends, and to his family that I know are watching. They were afraid to jump in. Marissa, Marley, and Mira, and your wife, Sonia, and certainly your granddaughter, Ariella. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right. Keep surviving and thriving, Steve.